Recording.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. As usual, it is Wednesday, therefore we are doing another car review. Technically it's actually Friday for us, but it's Wednesday for you. Good for you. We are, as always, outside in the parking lot. We have just finished watching another film at our lovely movie theater. And yeah, tonight's film was Knights of the Zodiac, which is a Sony picture. It's based off of an anime, so without further ado, DJ, 1 to 10.
Oof. I'm gonna give it a 5.
Why?
It was fun, a little bit, but messy. That's all I can do without spoiling the crap out of this, so go.
I give it a 4.
Oof.
I know that I usually give lower scores than you, but at the same time, I think a 4 is fair for this film. It's not a great film. It's not a terrible film. I had fun in some parts. I didn't have fun in other parts.
It's fair.
It gets a lower score than Nefarious, because Nefarious, I was at least interested in kind of the subject material and stuff like that.
It was engaging.
Yeah, this film, to be honest, was kind of rough. It has to build an entire world because nobody really knows what's.
There's no scene in this movie where I was like on the edge of my seat, like in it. It was just kind of,
It was just kind of happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's not a terrible film by any means. I wouldn't pay to go to a movie theater again to see it, but if it comes out on streaming or something, it is entertaining enough that it's not.
This
would be a waste of time.
This would be a fun one just to stream, just to, like, experience.
Yeah, it's one of those films that's not a complete waste of time, but you're not going into it going, oh, this is just a great film, and telling all your friends about it. It's literally something you throw on, maybe in the background while you're doing your laundry or something.
Right.
It's not terrible, but it's not great by any means. I think we'll just roll right into spoilers. What do you think? Because there's not much to this film.
There's not a lot to it.
Yep.
Okay, so spoilers. You
have been warned.
Go, John.
Okay, I cannot believe that the entire world ends with an atomic bomb. I'm just kidding.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
So, yeah, this film it's rough. Like, the cutting is really rough.
The cinematography is rough.
It gets a little...
Some of the acting is rough. Some of the dialogue is rough.
Dialogue is very rough.
The dialogue hurts.
The main issue as far as acting, unfortunately, it's one of those things where it just suffers from a poorly picked main lead.
Yep.
The main lead is the worst actor in the entire film. But unfortunately, we get to see his bland wooden face for 90% of the film.
I feel like this film would actually been way more interesting if someone else was leading, or he was better. I don't know why. I don't know the guy very well, so I don't know if he's a decent actor. And it's just bad in this. But there are a lot of, like, there are some names in this thing. Like, I recognize quite a bit of the people in this.
The biggest name is Sean Bean.
Yes.
He is probably the best actor in the entire film.
Him and his lover.
His manservant.
Okay, they're not actually.
They're not going to get it. Okay, so the Sean Bean's character is the father of this girl who has the power of Athena. Mm-hmm. Trapped within her, and Athena's trying to take control, and they're afraid that if Athena takes control, it's going to destroy the entire world. Her mother, Sean Bean's ex-wife, is hunting her down to drain her of her power to stop her from becoming Athena. That's the main plot of the story. What we are referring to is the father figure has a manservant who is just like the stereotypical anime sidekick.
Anime butler. He's straight up the anime butler.
He is the anime butler.
Yes.
Like, if you know, like, what we're talking about, he's essentially Walter to I just forgot her name. From Hellsing. He's Walter. He is a grade A BA fighter, but he serves the family.
Yep.
That's exactly what he is.
Yep.
He's like Riza Hawkeye to a well, not even Riza Hawkeye. Because Roy Mustang's actually useful. He's not. The most useful thing Sean Bean does is act. and
he
explain
is by far
dialogue.
He is by far like the best part of this film. Like he does such a great job of just being engaging. He does a lot of exposition, does a lot of the backstory. He narrates it in parts, and he's actually just really good at it. And every time he's on the screen, I was engaged, and then he was gone, and I was like, and I don't care anymore.
Well, and it's literally a thing of like the moment that he is no longer useful to the movie got rid of him. But unfortunately, he would have been much more entertaining.
Yes.
But
the two parents, the mom and the dad, were actually the most like compelling like parts of this film.
They're probably the best actors. Like, to be honest, so the actors are Sean Bean and I forget her name, but she played Jean Grey in X-Men. Mm-hmm. So she has really good acting chops, and she does a pretty convincing job playing the antagonist, who isn't actually like an antagonist. She's just literally trying to save the world, but going about it the wrong way.
Yep. She actually makes a pretty decent villain. There's like 4 villains in this, and they all have different motivations, which is actually interesting. It was like a team of good guys with different motivations, and a team of bad guys with different motivations. The only thing that separated them was where they drew the line.
Yep.
Like, the mom was like, I feel like we need to take care of her, and he's like, I can't do this anymore. And like, they were on the same side just until they split, and the line between the good guys and the bad guys is fairly fine, and they all have different motivations. One bad guy just wants revenge. One bad guy, we don't really actually know his motivations.
Well, one bad guy's trying to prevent the end of the world, but he's also trying to conquer the world, is what I think he was getting at.
I don't know.
He was going to destroy the gods, and then he was going to destroy
the evil knight, the Phoenix Knight.
The Phoenix Knight, yeah.
I have no idea what his actual motivations are, just that he was trying... He says it once, he's like...
No, he says he's going to kill the gods.
Well,
and then she's like, well, what happens after we kill the gods? And he's like, that's only part 1, and then he tries to kill her.
Well,
I'm assuming he's trying to destroy the...
Yeah, it's really unclear what his motivations are.
It's going to be explained in the next film. That's not going to happen because nobody knows that this came out.
Yeah, right. This movie actually is not bad enough that it couldn't get a sequel. It's not going to, because nobody watched this movie, apparently.
Nobody watched it. It's an anime film from... Well, it's an anime film.
Well, okay.
It's live action.
A little bit of background to this, just because it matters. Saint Seiya is an anime that came out in the 80s and 90s, and then it was there was a modern remake that was done for Netflix that was like a 3D CGI one. I've seen the original Saint Seiya. I've not seen the Netflix one. Apparently, this one takes far more cues from the Netflix one. I had to do a little bit of research on it first, because this movie is nothing like, well, not nothing like, but very little to do with the original 80s anime. And that one, it was like he goes to a temple, gets the armor, and then there's a big martial arts tournament, and there's like, it's a lot more like Dragon Ball than it is like this. But apparently the new one is more of a modern take on it, but I've not seen it, so I don't know how well this is correlated to the Netflix series. It's been on my watch list, I think, since it came out. But I've been afraid to watch it. But the actual plot, the ideas behind this film are actually really interesting. The execution is just a mess.
This film is just kind of a mess. It's cut really oddly.
The cuts are really bad.
It's got decent graphics, and then it's got really, really bad graphics. The CGI is really, really good, and then it's very, very bad.
This actually reminds me of Star Wars Episode 1, where there's like really cool scenes, and the rest of the movie just kind of doesn't work.
Yeah.
This is what this one reminds me of. It's like there's some really cool scenes, but they just stand out from the film. There's a scene where they're fighting on the roof, and they explode their powers, and the roof collapses in, and they fall into the building. And that was a really cool scene with consequences. Like, it's not the anime where like everything blows up around them. They actually fall through. That was really cool. But then it just falls apart again right in the next scene right afterwards. So it's the whole movie's like that. Oh, that's cool. Oh, never mind. They're moving on. Oh, that's an interesting plot point. Well, oh, nope, they're not talking about that anymore.
Or they'll be in the middle of like dialogue and explaining something, and they'll cut it mid-sentence.
Yeah, that happened several times.
And it's a very weird decision on their part.
I feel like they filmed a different movie, and we're like, oh, this is going to work. Just cut it and make it work. That's what it feels like.
It literally could have been that.
It's rough. I don't really have much more to say about it. Do you have any? Go for it if you do. I can't think of much else. It's okay.
It's okay. The thing is that really killed me is that they really tried to make this feel like an anime, but the thing is that I've talked about this in the podcast. I believe I talked about this in the podcast.
You probably did.
Anime will never translate well to live action.
Not until we get to the point where we can blur the lines between reality and to the point where the uncanny valley's gone.
The uncanny valley is very, very strong in this one.
Anime works the way it does because everything is animated. So the world they're in works because with CGI and stuff like that, you get motion blur, you get weird visual effects, and it's just your suspense is not as high or as realistic. The suspension of disbelief doesn't work. You don't really have this ability to blend in everything because you have two very different art styles standing against each other. Live action versus animation. I mean, even in movies like Roger Rabbit, where it was done in a comedic way, it's a little rough, but it works. In movies like this, it just takes me out of it.
Yeah. So it is just one of those things that if you're going into this, just know that it is a standard animated, or like it's a standard live action anime. It is weird.
And actually,
they do a lot of very odd artistic choices. They do a lot of visual choices that are very confusing, and they don't really work well because there's tropes and certain things that happen in the anime that work really, 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 really well if it's animated. But it looks so weird and unnatural and janky in real life.
The point of animation, in my mind, is always to be exaggerative and to push the boundaries of stuff because it's all the same.
Yeah.
In live action, that kind of falters a little bit. I'm not saying they can never make animation good on live action, but I think it matters what animes you're trying to adapt.
Yeah.
The more unrealistic the anime, the harder it's going to be adapted to real life.
This one is just not. This one is just one of those that it's so fantastic. Like
Dragon Ball suffered from the same problem. Dragon Ball Evolution was one that was really rough because it was trying to be fantastical, and it suffered from exactly the same stuff this does, where the uncanny valley is strong, and then of course poor writing mixed with bad cuts just mess it up even worse.
Yeah.
But ones like Alita Battle Angel I really liked. But that one,
that one was good. But
that one's also
blended everything in.
They blended everything in, and they kind of got into the world. This one got close to me. It just missed the mark.
I think for the most part, I really enjoyed a lot of the visuals and things like that until the end, when they're fighting and things like that. The costume decisions for the very end look ridiculous.
The armor
looks so.
The armor looks actually really well adapted from the anime, but the problem is that
it doesn't look good in real life.
It doesn't look good in real life. This is part of the reason why the X-Men films didn't do the uniforms from the comics. It just looks weird, and it doesn't quite work.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just one of those things where anime to live action, we'll probably do a podcast on it a little bit deeper, but it's just one of those things that where we are right now technologically and the type of anime that we have and have had for the last 20, 30 years isn't going to translate well to live action. And unfortunately, this film does suffer a lot. That's part of the reason I gave it such a low score. Is it doesn't translate well. It's visually stunning, and then it's visually ridiculous.
I could deal with it a bit if the effects being a little uncanny, if the writing and cutting wasn't so rough. I'd forgive it so much. It just adds on it. I could forgive it more. That's what I've got for me.
Yep, that's all I have for me. I mean, pretty straightforward, quick review for you guys. I mean, it's actually about the same amount of length. This movie there's not a lot to it. If you're going to watch it,
it's the hero's journey in the most straight. It's a straight line hero's journey.
You're probably better off just watching the anime. It's just this doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
And I don't know. I might have to check out. I might check out the anime, the Netflix one.
Yeah.
And then maybe do a short review on it, because I'm just interested. If the anime's bad too, it's well, you're adapting bad into bad. I don't know what you were gonna get out of it.
Yeah.
But if the anime's really good.
And the thing is that we're not super familiar with it, but as far as us just going into the movie theater, the overall movie theater experience, this movie is very forgettable. It falls into a lot of the tropes that we've already talked about are not good. It suffers greatly from its cuts, and the lead actor's acting is just the worst thing in this film. And overall, it's anime doesn't translate well to live action right now. If you're going in here expecting that it will, you're going to be disappointed. If you already know that that's kind of what you're expecting, you might enjoy it more than we did. I try to go into this one as neutral as humanly possible. So,
all right, close this out.
All right. Anyway, guys, kind of a strange week for us going to the movie theater and things like that. The movie that came out was Fast 10. Nobody wanted to release anything on the same week, and for some reason, our movie theater decided to pull every single film, but like 3 films. Even though one movie we actually were kind of curious into going to released literally last week. Weird choices. But anyway, so we kind of ended up with a weird title. We hope that you guys came, saw, and helped us conquer the internet. Speaking of conquering the internet, the way that we do that is if you like this video, comment, and of course, subscribe and share us with your friends. We appreciate you guys coming in and enjoying our videos and stuff like that, and we hope that you interact with us a little bit more and let us know things that you like, things that you don't like, what you want to see from us in the future. You can also follow us on Facebook. We will post memes, updates on the channel, things that we're filming, and movies that we're going to. We usually are pretty good about keeping you guys up to date on Facebook at Entertainment Rebooted. We also now have a Twitter that's live if you want to see us interact with the big studios and with weird Twitter people, as well as other memes and things like that that we post. You can find us at Exposition Sickle. Otherwise, like I said, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Thanks for watching.